Hello, so I just did my presentation, my story map, and my maps on the best beaches to visit on the East Coast. So, what are the best beaches on the East Coast? So, basically, my presentation was, again, as I said before, just about the best beaches on the East Coast, and I basically just looked on a bunch of websites and got a bunch of reviews, and I also used some for my own opinion, places that I've been on to find what are the best beaches on the East Coast. And I thought that this was just an interesting thing to do because um I feel like a lot of people probably didn't think to do this, and I just wanted to do my project on something interesting so that I could also enjoy doing it. So what did I map? So again, I just mapped 15 beaches across the East Coast, and they, I really got a really big variety. I got some all the way from up to New Hampshire down to Florida, and then I also mapped the unemployment rates in these areas as well as the population density in these areas. I did the unemployment rates because I felt like it would be interesting to see if the unemployment was higher or lower depending on um, the area, and the population density. Same, it would be interesting to see the results. So the patterns I discovered. Overall, there was a few pattern similarities and differences that I saw. Well, first, many of the beaches were located either higher north in the New England area or lower south in in Florida. There's a lot in Florida. And then also the population density in some of the beach towns was much higher, depending on if it was more of a remote spot or not. If it was more of a remote spot, then the population was less. While as if it was more of a family town, the population density was a little bit higher. And the unemployment rates differed. Um, in a lot of the towns, the unemployment rates were lower in the beach towns because all these attractions are giving people more jobs in the area. So how did I go about mapping this? So basically my goal was to make the maps simple and easy to read because I hate reading a confusing map. So I used little purple pins for each of the beaches in my original map. And then for my two census variable maps, I used like lighter colors were for lower density and lower unemployment rates. And then darker colors were for higher density and higher unemployment rates. I found my topic pretty interesting, and I used a lot of pretty pictures that I found in order to make the story map especially more enjoyable to read. And overall, from this project, I learned a few things. So I basically, before going into this project, I was very confused about how to use the mapping websites and stuff like that, but from this project I got a better idea of how to do it and how to really create a proper map. And I also got to learn which towns I should visit after this pandemic. Um I never really took a closer look into some of these topics, and I never really realized how the area can affect the unemployment rate or density. But it was very interesting to do the research and find out why it does. And it just gave me a better insight into why these things happen and why the United States kind of is how it is. And that's all.